thumping Snore for the final 2 prizes, and boom. Hello my fellow shufflers, it's PJ here with the Shuffle Squad, and we're going to bring to you another deck profile video with a cute and cuddly deck today. We're going to be going over Flaaffy Box. Now, not just any Flaaffy Box, this is the one that placed in the top 4. I believe it was the finalist in the Brisbane Regionals that had happened a few weeks back here if you're watching this video, sometime in the month of December 2022. But this deck also will prepare you for what is to come. As we know, there are some cards being released in the Scarlet and Violet set to release in March of 2023. A lot of the cards in this deck, including the deck list, can be easily modified and easily purchased at a budget rate, so you can build most of this deck really just skimming the lining of your pockets here. So nothing crazy that you're going to have to spend a lot of money on, and it's a fun deck. Now, another thing to note is make sure that you are checking out all of the sponsors that help support the Shuffle Squad. Down below in the description, we have plenty of cool things to check out there, as well as some really awesome discount codes. So make sure you're checking out that, because anytime that you use any of those discount codes or affiliate codes, you do directly help support the Shuffle Squad and all of its creators and pro team members as well. So we're going to take a look at this deck profile today and see how Flaaffy Box actually works. Alright, so we're going to go through all of these cute and cuddly Pokemon here in this really awesome deck. We're going to start out over here on the left with Snorlax. Now Snorlax, out of the Lost Origin set, does have the Unfazed Fat ability, which prevents all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. So things like Sableye, also out of Lost Origin, not able to place damage counters. Pikachu, Flying Pikachu VMAX, not able to stop this Pokemon from attacking it with its attack. So Unfazed Fat is a great ability. Thumping Snore, also doing a whopping 180 damage for 3 energy, is such a great attack. Does unfortunately put Snorlax to sleep, and you do have to flip twice to do that, but still hitting for 180. You can take out those support Pokemon like Lumineon onto the bench and just power through. Now, another thing that we'll see here is some draw support Pokemon like the Crobat. So Crobat able to use Dark Asset. We know what that does, filling your hand to 6. We have the Medicham V here for Yoga Loop. So if we're just close enough to get a Pokemon to where it's going to be knocked out with just 2 damage counters or 20 HP left, we can use Yoga Loop, and it buys us an extra turn in this deck. Now, the base of this list, the meat and potatoes, if you will, are going to be the Mareep here. There's a 4/4 Mareep and Flaaffy. Flaaffy really is what makes this deck work. That's why it's called Flaaffy Box, right? So the Dynamotor that you can see on my cute, awesome, character rare Flaaffy, that will give you the ability to take a lightning energy right from your discard pile and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. Now you can do this up to 4 times depending on how many Flaaffy that you have on your bench. We do have other things like Raikou V that hits based on the amount of Pokemon on either person's bench. So if you have a lot of Pokemon on both sides and you're hitting something from weakness, it really can pummel through anything in your way. Now, we do also have the Regieleki that can start to place the extra damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon if they're not playing a Manaphy, but we do also play our own Manaphy here too as well. So we'll see other Pokemon like Zapdos come into play where you're getting the extra 10 damage on any of your basic lightning Pokemon such as Raikou or Regieleki. But here's the big kicker, it is Zekrom. Now Zekrom's able to do Wild Shock for 130 damage, and that actually paralyzes your opponent's Pokemon. You do take 60 damage from doing this, but we do play other ways around that as well. So you'll see the support Pokemon again, Manaphy here, we know what that does, and then Radiant Greninja, also allowing you to draw extra in synergy with Dynamotor. If you're discarding a lightning energy, you're able to put that back with Dynamotor. Now make sure that it's your basic energy that you're discarding, because that's what's going to be put back. You cannot put back the speed lightning energy here that we do play 2 of, because it is not a lightning energy unless it's attached to your Pokemon. So we'll see all of our search items here. We have the level balls, the quick balls, the ultra balls, and we also have Stormy Mountains in this deck. Now this is the top 4 list from the Brisbane Regionals. So if you want to take a look at that, you can hop on over to limitlesstcg.com and search that list as well, but we will have it for you in the description below. You can see the supporter lineup to boss. There are 3 Serenas. You really want to boss up those big Pokemon. We have our search for Professor's Research and 2 Marnie. Now if we take a look at this list, you're saying, well, you have to pivot everything from your bench into the active. We do have a lot of pivoting cards like the Escape Rope. We have 3 of the Scoop Up Nets and the 2 of the Air Balloons here as well. So that's how you're able to pivot in and out and get your bench Pokemon that are gaining on the energy race to get into the active to do the damage necessary for these attacks. Now, a lot of this is budget friendly. This is basically a $35 US deck to build. So if you're looking at building a budget deck, this is a great place to start. And a lot of these cards are viable. The majority of the deck is viable post rotation come the end of March 2023. So if you're looking at getting into the Pokemon TCG, this again is a budget friendly deck that you can start to play at your local leagues and learn how to play into the rotation. I believe there will be quite a few lightning Pokemon from the Scarlet and Violet base set, as well as some really key items that will help out this deck be more successful in the future. So if you like what you see here, we're going to hop over to some gameplay and check out how this deck actually functions. All right, we're going up against VidKid72. Let's take a look and see what we'll play up against today. So we won the coin flip, which is really good, and we will definitely go first. Again, anytime that you play a evolution line, generally in the game of Pokemon, you want to be able to go first. Now we can put the Zapdos up front because we really want the Mareeps on the bench, and we can reap the benefit, if you will, of doing the Dynamotor once we're able to evolve into the Flaaffy here. So see some Giratina sleeves, could be a Lost Zone box, which could be problematic for us, but it is Mew VMAX. So we'll see that in action. Let's draw some more cards here with the Speed Lightning. Always a fun time. All right, and that's good. So we have the Zekrom here, and we will just click the done button and see if our Zapdos does unfortunately get knocked out. We can put the Air Balloon on Mareep next turn and pivot out of it. And as long as we're able to get some lightning energy in the discard pile, we'll be just fine. And it looks like our Professor's Research can probably help us get there. Now here we go. We see the Forest Seal Stone come into play once again, getting any card that they want. Basically computer search for those of you that played back a long time ago with the A-Spec computer search. I believe it's in the black and white set. You're also able to go back in time to the Wizards of the Coast set where it wasn't a 1 of index, it was a 4 of, but Wizards of the Coast had computer search as well. Now we see the Meloetta come down to the bench. I'm assuming they have a switch card in hand, and Alta and Ellis's Sparkle. So Ellis's Sparkle could be problematic for us, and it looks like they have the Zekrom in their sights. There's the Meloetta Donk, as a lot of people call it. If they're able to see that Ellis's Sparkle, it's screaming bad news for us here. All right, we've got the Power Tablet. That's fine. Now they're digging. Can they get it? Can they hit everything that they need in this first turn? We're going to see if the extra energy card comes into play, or maybe even 2 extra energy cards, depending on what route they want to take to knock out all of our 1-prize Pokemon, putting them into the Lost Zone, and they don't get it, which is fine. That is totally fine with me. Let's get rid of this. I do not want to see that at all. So we're going to go here. We'll see what else we draw. The Raikou is good, but we don't want to do that just yet. I know that we do play an Ordinary Rod in this deck list, so using that to our advantage could be pretty good here. So what I'll do first is I'll thin the deck. We want to get the Mareep into the bench, and then we can use our Escape Rope. We want to get this Flaaffy active. We want the Zekrom out of the way. If we can discard one more energy card, that will be fine. Let's not leave this as a liability just yet, but put it back into the deck. Let's just research it away. And all right, so we will have to unfortunately let Mareep or Manaphy go here and just put it right in the active and see if they can get the Genesect V out of the active spot. What we could do is just hold this Level Ball here and then go for gold the next turn. Now we do have a way of getting that Manaphy out of the active with Scoop Up Net, and we can also Marnie them into a worse hand than they already seem to have, hitting with this Zapdos as well. So if we can get that going, we can Dynamotor our way to success. We can get a Flaaffy with Level Ball, which is great because it's 90 hit points. There's the Silene, seeing if maybe they can get their Escape Rope, and that's exactly what they're going to try to do here. So that's totally fine. After this Meloetta is gone, they really don't have much else to work with, so that's pretty good. We could just let this Zekrom go, because we don't need it, right? We don't need the Zekrom just yet. We will need it late game, and they're going to draw one card off this Fusion Strike system ability from Genesect V. Let's see what else they have here. We got Melodious Echo is just going to knock out our Pokemon. We have energy in hand, so we're just going to put the Zapdos in the active. But what you should do, the correct sequencing, because we have a pivot Pokemon, let's see exactly what we draw into here. So this is totally fine as well. We can't necessarily Terra Spark yet, but we will place an energy because we can knock out that Meloetta. They don't have an Oricorio in play. We'll get our other Flaaffy into play so we can Dynamotor for a later turn. We can put this Regieleki on the bench. It's pretty safe. They aren't working with too good of a hand. What we'll do now is just put another Zekrom into play, and I'm gonna go ahead and just knock out this Pokemon so they don't have any attacking Pokemon just yet. So hopefully we're able to see a Quick Ball, and there's an Ultra Ball. That's pretty good too. We can start loading up for maybe a Snorlax attack. So we can Snorlax here, then we can set up the Terra Spark play for the remaining turn if we put it back down. And there's just a Scoop. They weren't able to pull that Meloetta off, so it does seem like they had nothing going for them for the next turn. Just trying to go in for the donk isn't always the best way, but it looks like they found that out a little bit too late. All right, we're gonna see if we can get another game under our belt here on the ladder with Flaaffy Box. Let's try to go for tails because it never fails us, and we won the coin flip again. The algorithm loves us so much for this coin flip here, so yes, we would love to go first and get our Mareeps into play, and unfortunately we don't have any, but we have a way of getting two of them and then drawing into what we really need. So I think my play here is, seeing that the Zoroark is active, we're just going to put a Lightning Energy there. We know that we aren't going to get bench sniped with a deck like this, so what I'm going to do is I will get a Flaaffy in play here with this Quick Ball. So that's a good way to go. Looking at our hand here, we can do quite a few things. We're most likely going to get knocked out, so we don't want to put any two prize liabilities into play for later turns when they're able to bosses orders some of our Pokemon. We can go ahead and get another Flaaffy into play here and then just kind of hold this hand, and next turn we'll turn that Level Ball right into a Flaaffy, and then we'll be swinging for later turns. Single prize decks into this two prizer seem to be pretty good, especially since we've got the majority of our basic Pokemon into play already. Now that Alakazam is a little odd here. I know that they're not going to be able to do too much to our bench, so moving around damage counters isn't going to matter. We play pretty much all single prize Pokemon except for the Raikou and the Crobat, and the Medicham. The Medicham seems pretty good. Too bad we don't have one of Fighting Energy that we can play here, or maybe even an Aurora Energy to put it on that Pokemon. Then it can hit 200 damage into the Hisuian Zoroark, which would be pretty good here. But I think just paralyzing, being able to paralyze is enough. Hitting the 140 repeatedly off of a Zekrom should be just fine. Now, they also play a Crobat here, which gives me another opportunity to take another 2-prize turn with something like the Snorlax. So Snorlax able to hit into a Crobat pretty easily. Same thing with Lumineon. And then we get Marnie. So it's perfectly fine. We save that Level Ball. Level Ball is okay. We don't really need it. It just guaranteed us the Flaaffy, but I'm sure we have 2 Flaaffys off of that Marnie, so still doing pretty good. So what I'm thinking is that we can put a 2-prize liability into play with a Crobat to get us some extra cards here, so they're going to avoid return. Let's see if they do retreat into the Crobat. That's perfectly fine for me. And then here we go. Let's put our Flaaffys into play. So I am going to go ahead and get rid of this Boss's Order, even though I don't want to get rid of that or the Air Balloon, but we need to start seeing some cards here. So we will have to do what I like to call dip and draw. So we're going to get this Crobat V and put it into our hand, draw some cards, and see what happens next, because next turn we're most likely getting knocked out. So there's that. We've got the Zekrom, we've got the Zapdos. All of these things are good. Let's see. We can put the Zapdos in play if we really want to. And I think that we'll just hold on to this for now. We really need something else. I think maybe putting the Zapdos down, then we'll just research this hand away. Let's get this out of the way. Just get a fresh hand here. Put another Flaaffy back in. And then research this hand. That's fine. We thinned our hand out enough. Let's add this here. Okay. So everything's fine right now. We've got the Static Shock. Getting this Crobat down to 130 hit points, which is good for our Zekroms. Then we can just snipe that out with the Zekrom. I think that they're getting a little nervous now, seeing that we're playing mostly a single prize deck. They are able to move some damage counters around, so I'm assuming that they're going to try to move a bunch of damage over to the Flaaffys, but I don't foresee us getting another Pokemon in play here without putting a stadium down first. So there's a research by them. And then let's see what their response is. There we go. They've got the damage coming down. They don't necessarily need too much damage, but I think the paralyzation really scares them a bit. They're not able to get out of that paralyzation from the Zekrom in order to do the damage necessary here. So let's see. Ultra Ball is going to buy them probably either a Gengar or another Crobat, which seems pretty terrible in this matchup. So I'll be interested to see exactly what happens here. We do have the Air Balloon, which allows us to pivot pretty well. They are going to put a Manaphy down, I think, just for extra damage. They might even put that active, which is fine because we have Serena in hand now. Serena able to get rid of our energy cards, and I think that that might be the play for the following turn if they retreat into their Zoroark V-Star. And that's exactly what they do. They have one card in hand. They have not V-Starred yet, so I'm feeling a V-Star coming along here. Let's see if they actually hit the V-Star ability. So they discard their hand and draw 7. So Phantom Star might be coming along here. Now I see the Radiant Alakazam doing something. Let's take a look at what it actually does. All right, here we go. Trying it out. Okay. So they're moving damage counters onto the Zapdos, which is interesting. Sure. Alright, so we'll be able to do this, and then I will Serena, get some energy in the discard pile, always fun, good times. Then I can Dynamotor here. And Dynamotor again. It's perfectly fine. I don't think that we need to see anything else. Let's just retreat and go into the Zekrom. Then I will Wild Shock and paralyze the Zoroark. And unless they have a Sharon's Care in hand, then that might be the only other out that they have here. Now the Regieleki can come into play next turn as well. There's the Air Balloon, and I'm not sure if they understand that when you're paralyzed in the Pokemon TCG, you cannot retreat. So unless you're playing something like the Wind Up Arm tool card, it doesn't allow you to retreat when you're paralyzed, and even when you're asleep, you do have to flip to get out of that as well. Okay, so we see this Crobat here. Phantom Star, they played boss's orders, so not able to get out of the paralyzation either. So let's see, Wild Shock. So we will knock ourselves out unless we're able to retreat and switch Pokemon. So again, still pretty fine. We can try to take out the other 2 prize Pokemon if we're getting a boss's orders, but we need 1 energy card to actually retreat. So I think that's something that they don't estimate yet. We'll see where the Radiant Alakazam is going to move some damage counters from. So I think Marnie obviously going to be the best play here. Taking all the damage off the Crobat, putting it right here, and sure. Let's go into, well, we want to take out a 2 prize Pokemon. So what I'm going to do first is I will just do Marnie. Alright, perfect. So we're going to put this energy on the active, switch into the Zekrom, put this down. We're going to go into the Snorlax, no damage on Snorlax. Totally fine, totally fine. Got this here. We'll go into another Dynamotor. That's good too. Now the problem we'll have next turn is that we don't have a whole lot of draw. We are going to knock ourselves out, and then we'll have to put the Zapdos in the active spot here. So that's going to be the downfall of this deck. We will get 2 prize cards though. So we've traded 2 for 2. And chances are we're going to take another knockout this next turn here. So they placed another Pokemon on the bench. Probably got enough to do the things to move the damage from one Pokemon to another. If they play the damage pump, they can move that right over and allow themselves to hit enough damage to knock out my Pokemon. So let's see here. We've got the Radiant Alakazam again, moving those damage counters around, trying to knock out my poor little Flaaffies on the bench. Getting rid of the damage from the Zapdos. So next turn we can hit for 180. We can level ball our way right into something else. Hopefully another Mareep. They're going to struggle a little bit here, but we can still use our Stadium card. If they don't bump that Stadium, we can look for our secondary Zekrom right now and get that secondary Zekrom. Okay, this is also fine. So as long as we draw into 1 energy card, we will be okay. And we don't even really need to do that. I think that they're just searching for a stadium. Yeah. Alright, so they got the Ordinary Rod here. Now, I'm assuming they only play 4 energy cards because the DTE or double turbo energy is really the only way here. So that's fine. They got rid of our stadium. They got rid of our Zapdos. And then we can just start swinging here. Alright. So we won't need this. We can get our other Zekrom into play, paralyze them. Still seems fine. Alright. We got Dynamotor 1. Dynamotor 2. Then they're paralyzed. We can just smack them with something else. And we have the Scoop Up Net in hand, so we could always scoop this thing up and do it all over again if we draw into another energy card on the following turn. So let's see if we get another energy card. If not, we could just scoop up and then hit with Snorlax and then do it all over again the following turn. We have enough Dynamotors in play that we could just keep Dynamotoring over and over again, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to prevent my Zekrom from being able to attack another time. If they just move that 1 damage counter, they'll be able to do that too. So not assuming that I have the Scoop Up Net in hand, kind of baiting them into this next turn with the Snorlax. So let's take a look at our discard pile just so we know for sure that there are energy cards there. So there's not energy yet, but once we Scoop Up Net this active Pokemon for Zekrom, we'll be able to load it up with at least 1 energy card for sure. If they take a return knockout, we'll be able to do that all over again, especially if they put the other Zoroark, which I'm assuming they will, the following turn. So we have everything set up. We've mapped our prizes out correctly. We are going to take 2 prizes next turn, and then we'll be able to take another 2 prizes again. Alright, let's see. What do we draw? The perfect card. Absolutely perfect. So let's Scoop Up Net this. Then we can put it back. We can Dynamotor back to it. We'll do 1 energy card on the Snorlax to make sure that we hit a knockout. And then we'll do another energy card over here onto the Zekrom. We'll load that right up. Then let's retreat into the Snorlax and hit them with the Thumping Snore. So there you go. Now they can see the play that we're setting up now, so I'm wondering if they'll just kind of scoop it up here. That's kind of been the theme playing this deck on ladder, is once everybody sets up, you can just go one after the other, and then your opponent generally will scoop up their whole board and say goodbye. Now, it looks like they're going to try to scramble here a little bit. I'm assuming that they don't have another support card in hand to draw those extra cards to get the extra damage. Still only hitting into my single prize Pokemon and taking a prize. So again, I don't think that they're able to really get there. No pivots unless they are holding a Sharon's Care. And they don't have a way of getting anything back to where they need it. So we've got one basic energy here, then we'll have another basic energy there as well. We can load ourselves up if we need to. Again, let's retreat, go here, Wild Shock, paralyze them, again hitting ourselves with 60 damage. And if we're able to do this, the scoop up trick one more time and go right into a Snorlax, we should be just fine. I really think that there's no way out of this other than Sharon's Care in this matchup. So if we can set up 2 of these Wild Shocks without them moving damage counters, because they don't have any way of moving them with the Radiant Alakazam this turn and making us knock ourselves out, we can go into essentially what would be the 9th prize after using Medicham's attack, because we have enough energy cards in the discard pile to make that happen too. So there's so many plays that you can make with a box like this. And again, the more Pokemon that do come out, the more you can add things to it. Colorless Pokemon attacks will be able to use those lightning energies. And there's the Sharon's Care. So interested again to see what is going to happen here. I know that they can attack with the regular attack too, or the attack from the basic V Pokemon that does 30. That will put us out of range of getting the KO, and that also sets us a little behind. So let's see, maybe we can draw out of it. That seems perfectly fine. They are going to evolve next turn for sure, and I'm pretty sure they don't have 2 Sharon's Care. They might have an Eldegoss though. Eldegoss would be pretty cute if they used an Eldegoss loop on us. They're not going to knock us out, which is fine as well. And then we can start setting up ourselves for a knockout the following turn. If we hit it for enough damage, paralyze it, they will have to do something about it. The only other alternative here is if we get something to maybe Boss's Orders that Crobat. That could be a play too. Alright, so there are some things that we can make happen here. And I think what I'll do is I will just Scoop Up Net this. I'll see you later. We'll put this in the active. Put this down here. Then we'll rip this. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'm going to Dynamotor away here. So they'll have to evolve if they want to attack. We'll Dynamotor again. Now we do want to make sure that we have enough deck left, because we are going to churn through a lot of our decks. So we don't want to run the risk of decking ourselves out. So we will be able to Wild Shock for that. And then next turn we can just attach to the Snorlax and then retreat and knock out their Hisuian Zoroark V-Star for the game-winning turn. So let's see what they have in response to that. I don't think that they're really going to have a response to that, because they're not able to damage pump away enough that they can do that. So we do have Serena in hand for the following turn, even if they're able to get out of this some magical way, which they're not going to be able to do that for sure. So I'm interested to see what else they have to play through this turn with. I want to see if they're doing some strange math that I don't necessarily understand. It might work in an alternative universe, but I really think that, yeah, Ticking Curse is just going to knock that out. That's perfectly fine as long as our Air Balloon stays in play. We're good to go here. So yeah, we will see that come through. And we'll just Dynamotor our way to success. We'll go here and we'll Dynamotor again. Dynamotor twice. What a crazy play. Absolutely insane. So good. Make sure that you have enough energy to do this if you're trying it at home. And then we can just Thumping Snore for the final 2 prizes. And boom, there you go. Flaaffy showed you how it did that win. So good. This is so good. This deck runs like butter. Alright, so that was the Flaaffy box. You're able to see so much versatility out of a deck like that. I really love when you're able to basically toolbox your way into a win over and over again. The paralyzation was such a cool effect that we saw there in these games. And then just being able to hit for massive damage for a lot of different Pokemon, whether it's Snorlax or the Raikou V. I'm really interested to see in one of the Miraidon, I believe it is, Miraidon EX cards. And I know that there's a Magneton and there's even Ampharos that you can play here in the upcoming sets. I'm really interested to see how some of these cards will interact with all of the newer Pokemon too. But I really like this deck. I think it is a solid play if you're going to go to a local league, or if you really feel comfortable enough to go to your next regional event with this, then definitely do that as well. If you like the list, make sure you're telling us in the comments below. Let us know any changes you might make to a deck list like this going forward too. I'd love to hear any opinions that you have, and also if you like what we do here, make sure you're hitting that like button and the subscribe button so you get notified anytime a new video from the Shuffle Squad does release. With that being said, we're going to hop on over to our sponsor commercials here so you can check those out as well, and I will see you next time on the Shuffle Squad. The Shuffle Squad is proudly sponsored by Atlas Collectibles, the best place to buy any trading card game product online. Visit atlastcg.com and at the checkout screen, make sure to use code TSS12 to save an unbeatable 12% off your entire order. Atlas Collectibles will ship your product anywhere in the world, so make sure you're taking advantage of the 12% savings with TSS12. And if Pokemon is not your thing, don't worry. Go to atlastcg.com and see all the other amazing trading card game products they have there to offer.
The Shuffle Squad is partnered with PTCGO Store to provide our community with the best access to Pokemon TCG codes. They have codes available 24/7, instant email delivery, and you can save 5% off by using code TSS5. If you're a YouTube member or Patreon supporter, you'll have access to a special code that gets you 10% off. So what are you waiting for? Use code TSS5 today and save 5% on your next order of codes on any codes available at ptcgostore.com.
Pokex Word, the best place to get your fill of Pokemon-inspired puzzles. New puzzles are posted every day, and they recently launched a new Guess That Pokemon puzzle, which is a ton of fun to play. Go check them out at PokeXWord.com and be sure to follow them on Twitter for your chance to win a ton of PTCGO codes every month.
Check out the Late Night Series Season 6, brought to you by myself, Zach Lesage, and the Shuffle Squad. We're going to be running a bunch of sick events for the Pokemon community, and they start on August 30th. So one thing you might be noticing here is that there's an EU time and an NA time. We have one at 12 p.m. Eastern, which works out to about 5 p.m. in London. And then we have one at 7 p.m. Eastern, which should help out a lot of players on the West Coast play in this event. That being said, we still have a lot of cool things going on. Expect similar prizing that we've had for other Late Night Series events. Expect better staffing, expect better tournament experiences, and of course we do have a stream going up for this season as well, and I will be streaming the event on Twitch. That being said, we have the whole season up on the Play Limitless website. Late Night 51 all the way through 70 runs until we hit the Invitational on November 5th. So check that out, sign up today, and support Zach Lesage Events and the Shuffle Squad. See you there.